it's me, I'm back again. Unfortunately for the people who don't like me stuff, but for those who do, bonus, right, I'm back. Okay, so I am at, in fact, I'll give you a little twirl around. If I can get this to twirl setting, hang on, where's twirl? there, right, we'll twirl that around. That is the River Wansbeck. And again, we've had over the past few days, we've had mist. There's loads of mist over there in the distance. What's that about? But we'll be all right. And there's a bit of an easterly wind, but turn this around, get it down a little bit, plonk, take it off, twirl. There, I think that's right. Right, okay, so you might actually see just over the top of there, you can see that the mist is actually, it's a bank of mist. We've had this for a few days. It's probably in one of my previous videos, so I'll get the drone up though. So let's go to the pilot's view. So in fact, we'll put the drone over here just so you can see what's going on. Here's the drone, just a little mini today. So what we'll do is we will, if you go to the pilot's view there, you can see we will start the motors. If I take that to there, it's saying check complete. Yes, check is complete. Honest, I did a full check. So there's the rotors going. So I need to have this go up into the air, don't I? So stick up, and then there's a little bit of wind, so I'll take that close to the camera. In fact, I'll take it down just so you can see. It's always interesting to see how they cope with the wind here. So we'll come down a little bit and then forward a little bit. See, it's been buffeted that way, so when I'm just heading forwards, it's still moving. So is there a bit of a tilt on there? You can see, look, I'm standing stationary and it's having to tilt a bit. It's doing its best though, it's got plenty of satellites, so what we'll do is we'll stick it up and I'll show you what we've got here. Okay, so, in fact you can see from the pilot's view there, I'll enlarge the pilot's view actually. So it knows I'm behind it from the red, so if I come back, because it's got full obstacle avoidance, so we'll come back a bit and down a bit there, because it zapped up there, so you can see there's a little bit of red behind it, and then you'll see more of a red margin behind it, and then big there, so it knows I'm here obstacle wise. Now if I walk around it, that will change there. So can you see it's on the right hand side of the pilot's view now, and if I go in front of it, it's going to say, well, there's an obstacle there. So the question is, what happens if I just try and fly into myself? Well, it'll actually go over. Just to prove it, we'll come back a bit and then down a bit, and then I'm just going to do stick forward. Look, I'm just going to use one hand just to prove it. Stick forward. It's going to, well, hang on, wrong stick. You cheated, TrailTrek, you cheated. Right, sorry, I was trying to be too clever for my own good. Right, so just fly at myself and boom, see it avoided there? So I've got obstacle avoidance set to bypass mode. Right, so let's get up in the sky here. Let's get a nice bit of height and gimbal down. So River Wansbeck there, and I'll quickly show you first. So you've got fog over there, you can't see a damn thing. I've done this 4K, so you should see plenty, but dear me, terrible. See the traffic coming across there, and this is classed as a park, so I will be aware if there's any crowds of people, I'll look out for them. And there are some people learning how to use a boat, so there they are. So I'll go well up, so we're out of their way, and then we'll have a look at what they're doing. Right, so we're at about 80 metres, perfectly safe there. Let's have a quick look around. Right, I can't see anyone running around or anything weird that I need to avoid, so we'll come across and we'll rotate a little bit, so I'll keep them in the view there. So 87% on the battery there, at least 23 minutes if we're sensible in normal mode. So beautiful place here, lots of wind today. Now I haven't seen any wind warnings come up on the pilot's view yet, but that could happen. So there's those boaters, they look like kayaks, so if I zoom in a bit. Zoom in a little there, zoom in. There they are, yeah, so I think it's two people learning how to kayak, or they're having a chat and saying, I think I've got a hole, what do I do? Get bailing, quick. Right, zoom out of there. Let's see what the lay of the land is here. Okay, so that looks like a figure of 8 there, doesn't it? Or a robberus. So you've got the houses there, and then you've got these on the banks of the river. I'll just rotate myself because I want to make sure I can see this drone, and there it is. And all that green land, so it's free to use for anyone, and the North Sea is just to the east from my location. So there's me, the H on the pilot's view there, just next to that massive house, which I'm not going to zoom in because they've got a massive hedge, and I presume they want a bit of privacy, so I'm going to let them have it. And then there, look at the difference. So look, I'll zoom all the way back around. In fact, we'll go down the river. Watch the difference. I'll zap down here. Where's the drone? Right, I can see it. Right, the zoom. So we're zapping down here. So we're only a couple of 100 meters away. The sun's out. Beautiful. and then you turn around, and to the east where the North Sea is, watch. Look at the difference. It's rubbish. In fact, you can see in the air there, if I bring the height up, so you've got something to look through and compare on the contrast there. Look at that. And as I increase height there, let me just make sure I can see the drone, right? Okay, yeah, I can. There's pockets of mist near it. So I'm going to bear that in mind. And if it thickens, I'll certainly come down because I want to see where the drone is. What's that? Oh, that's a seagull. Okay, right. Panic over. It was just a seagull near the drone. Okay, so let's zoom down a bit. I mean, there is sun getting through that. Look, you can see it reflecting off the water there. And there's those kayakers. I wonder if I can track those. If I go to active track and I reduce height slightly, so I'm over the trees here, but we'll gimbal up a bit and we'll reduce to about 60 metres. There's about 60. See, it doesn't recognise them. Larger ships, it definitely does. The smaller the boat, the more bother it seems to have. So it's not picking those up at all as anything that, because normally you would see on the pilot's view, you would see like a crosshair, a green crosshair saying, oh, you can pick that. I mean, what I could try is, I could try putting something around it. So you can see on the pilot's view, I'm drawing a green box there. So if I let go of that, let's see what happens. Now, is that looking at a region? It says spotlight, but I'm guessing if I move this, watch what happens. Yeah, I'll move the drone about a little bit. Yeah, that's a GPS lock. So you can see on the icon, it's got the little marker there. That's GPS. So if I start moving now, so I'm going to rotate left. It's going to try and keep that gimbal. Yeah, nah, it's just GPS. Yeah. No good, no good. Okay, fair enough. Right. Well, we'll get rid of that then. So turn off active track. So I'm not able to track them because it's not big enough to say, well, that's definitely a boat. What about the traffic? Now, I'm not going to track the traffic, but what I want to do is I want to see if it can have a look at them. So that's the Sunny. So that is to the west. So that's away from the North Sea. And then if we rotate all the way around, there's the road that crosses. And we'll zap up there a bit. I'm on the right there, so we're actually coming closer to me. In fact, I'll come over my head. Is there anyone else down there? No, right. The wind's pretty, I can feel it here. So I'm going to zap over my head. And is that someone? No, it's a seat. I can hear traffic. And then I'm going to bring my height down just a touch and come over the water. So if anything happens, we're just dunking in the water. It's not an issue. Okay, so there's traffic. So at this range, can it track that? Let's see if it gives me any. So on the pilot's view, active track. See, it is. It's bringing up crosses. So that's pretty impressive. Now what I want to do is then, could I track one coming across the bridge? I'm going to avoid the traffic and go over these trees. I'm only 100 metres away at this point, so keep going. And I'll track one down the hill and let's see. Okay, so keep going. You can see it's getting grey there, it's horrible. So about 200, 300, there's a big bus or something, whatever that is. So we're about 250 metres away. Gimbal down. Now what I want to do is, I want to see if I can track that car there, or van or whatever it is. Let's try an active track. Let's see what it does. So I've got it set for, on the trace wheel, it'll go behind the car, or try to anyway. It's pretty quick, isn't it? Stick it in sport. So we're okay so far, we're okay. Yeah, okay, 100 metres away. I'm going to bring the height up because we're going up a hill. So I'm purposefully pushing the height up a bit. And then we're going to put it back in a normal mode because I don't want to hit anything. And they should be slowing down, so about 160 metres away. That's doing an excellent job. Again, I'm going to push the height up again. So I'm forcing that height up on purpose because I know that we're going up a hill. If I didn't do that, it's going to go inside of a hill, isn't it? So 270, it's going to get to that roundabout and I'm going to break off right now. So I've lost a lock, but you see it's still trying to get more locks there. So if let me make sure I can definitely see this, right, it's over there. I'm moving a lot here on the grass just to make sure that's line of sight. Okay, so it's over there. And then if we turn that around, so it's trying to get loads of locks there. Let's see if we can lock another one. We'll wait for the next one. Is that a motorbike? Get him. Get that red car, see if it'll go for him. Right, active track him. Boom, right. And the trace wheel on the bottom left of the pilot's view, you'll see that I've got that set to behind. So it's behind the target. So we're about 60, 70 metres here. Perfect, he's blasting away. Stick that in sport mode. Don't know what speed he's doing. It's substantial because there's going to come a point here where he outpaces the drone. Watch. I think he's going to outpace it here. As he disappears off into the mist, he's going. I've still got him locked. That's pretty amazing. He's going to go behind these trees and it'll lose. Watch. Oh, there you go. And it's changed to a GPS. So we'll close that and change active track. Bang. So what else have we got here? There's a sailing club down here. Now I'm in sport mode. That's why it's wailing about all over. So go back to normal mode and you can see poor visibility here. There's still visibility. Let me just double check. I can see where that is. Yes. Okay. Right. It's right over there. Crumbs. Yeah, it's becoming harder to see, so I don't really want to go any further that direction. So I'm going to bring it down. And I'm just over there, remember. So we'll come back a little. Let's see what's going down here. There's sometimes boats launch from, it's further on to the right here. But there's not even anyone walking around. I think what's happened today is people have seen, especially in this area, they've probably thought, oh, it looks freezing cold. It isn't, but you know. Now, normally I would fly under that bridge and come back, but there's going to become a point there where I momentarily lose visual line of sight, so I'm not going to do that. If I was a lot closer and it was like, you know, a quarter of a second, it's fine. But we'll stick to the rules today. Now, I want to gain a lot of height, and the reason I want to do that is so I can see plenty of traffic, and then I'm going to cross this when there's no traffic. So we'll go right up to about 100. Right, we're at about 100. Now I'm sticking it in sport mode. So we're going to zap across here. Are you ready? Right, boom. I don't think I'm going to hit any traffic here. So zoom, there you go. Wallop. Perfectly safe there. And then I'll come over my head. I'm going to go back to normal mode. And there's me. There's that massive house on the left. It does look pretty big, doesn't it? Low visibility, fly with caution. I totally agree. So there's a bank of, well, I mean, I can still see it, but there's a bank of fog coming in. So we'll come down a lot. I'll come in closer to me. You can see I've moved my position from the home, so I'll go back to where I was. So I'm moving there. The reason for that was I have to constantly move, so I've got a line of sight. So we'll come down. I can see the drone. I mean, it's the only thing in the sky. It's perfectly easy to see. You know, if I zoom in, boom, 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 there's me. You know, you might think, well, it's so small, how do you see it? Well, it's the only thing there. So there you go. You can see me down the bottom there. Right, so let's zoom out and let's go westbound where the sun is, because it's bloody awful. And I've got better visibility as well. But again, I'm going to check that this visibility issue doesn't creep up on me. So let's come back. And then we'll turn the drone. There's a few seagulls knocking about there, you see them? But I'll zoom in, there's one. He's just landed. Normally around here we call them shite hawks, and not just because, I mean, they're a pain in the arse as well. If you're trying to eat fish and chips, wallop, you've had it. They'll literally come and attack you. They will assault you for your chips. So just bear that in mind if you ever go near the coast and you're not used to that. So let's go westbound a little and I'll come over the water. If anything happens and you're over the water, it just falls in the water. No one's in any danger there. I'm just interested to see what's over here, and I'll increase height a bit. So there it goes. We can see the drone. Gimbal that down. So I think they're relatively new houses on the right, or well, I'm saying newer for this area. I can't really show you much of the area. Now I'm at max altitude there, so we'll pop it down to about 110. I'll rotate slowly so you can get a nice view of the area. So they are newer houses for this area. That side of the river, I think that's called Ashington. And then you'll have Ellington up the coast. I can't really show you that though, because look at that bank of fog. I know I'm on a tiny screen here, so it's very difficult for me to see how, like the contrast on that and see how good that is. So I'll slowly rotate so you can get a good view. If that is moving, you'll see it moving. It's encroaching from the east. That's really thick, so you can't even see the sea. If I was flying here normally, you would definitely see the sea. See, look at that. That's poor down there now, poor. In fact, look, I must be hitting a bank, so I'm going to immediately come down. I mean, I can see the drone, it's just there. I can actually physically see it, no problem. But we will come down a bit. Bit more. So we'll take it about 55, 50-ish. And then we'll come closer this direction. And then this side is where that you've got that figure of 8 weird thing. I don't know whether that was purposeful or what, unless there's treasure buried in the middle. In fact, let's go and have a look. Is there treasure buried in the middle of that? What is that? Actually, there's something else that looks like, but I'm not going to mention it on camera because it's very rude. I was going to say comments below, but best not in case I get banned. What do you think that looks like? A figure of 8? 2 of the Olympic rings, or something else? There you go. You let me know what your answers are. I don't have a clue what that is, unless there's some treasure there. There's nobody there. It's not what I would call a fox cover or something like that, where farmers purposefully add areas where foxes can dwell. I don't think that's what that is. Interesting. And then that's Guidepost up there, I think that's called. Beautiful though. I tell you, someone's had a big job cutting the grass there. So I think that this visibility is getting slowly worse. So I'm going to bring the height down again. Change the gimbal a little. In fact, I think it's worse. In fact, look, I can see banks of it over there. If I change that and then zoom a bit, you might see it on camera. I've done it 4K, but sometimes the contrast, you can't tell. Let's see if it'll pick it up here. Bizarre weather. We've had it for a couple of days. I mean, everywhere else. If you head inland, in fact, definitely there. Yeah, you can see it. You can see it flooding in. Let's get that to focus. There you go. Look at that. Bad. Yeah, we've had this a couple of days. So if I was to go 2 miles, not even that. Well, so let's say 3 miles to the west, there'll be none of this. Absolutely none of it. But it's terrible. Look at it. Poor conditions. I mean, look, I can see the bridge way off over there. So visibility isn't disastrous, but it's certainly reduced. And I can see all the traffic on there, no problem. I mean, bear in mind I am zoomed in, but it's gone very dark. Wow. So with that in mind, I'm going to bring the drone back, track me, and then land. So I'm looking over there. Yeah, there's still a bit of sun over there, but dear me. So let's do this manually. So we'll come down, there's the figure of 8, or it could be anything else. You tell me in the comments, what does that look like? Right, I'm over here, let's reduce height a bit. So I'm coming in quite quickly, dropping in height, coming in. Visually, on the ground, I can't see anyone around for miles apart from the other side of the river. What is he doing? He looks like he's rolling a cigarette or something. Right, in we come. Quite low, quite quick, but it's me, so I'm not bothered. And then what I want to do is, I want to do a cheeky active track, so focus track, let's see if this works. So there's me. So what about active track? What if I say I want the camera to be in front of me? So you see on the trace wheel on the bottom of the pilot's view, I can click and drag that all over the place. So I can click and drag it to far behind, or I can click and drag it to near behind, or I can click and drag it to in front. So we'll put in front far away. Let's see what it does. So I'm going to just start walking off. Now, theoretically, it should rotate all the way around and go, right, he's walking off to the west. I'm going to have to get in front of him and film this, basically. So I'm just walking off. So it's doing exactly the opposite of what I want. Now, it's saying low battery, return to home on the pilot's view there. I know that. So I'll confirm. So I'll bring it in. Now, I'm going to let it do it automatically to an extent anyway. Bear in mind, I don't want it landing on this grass. So in it comes. I'm going to stop it at some point, obviously. So all I need to do is just cancel the landing. Yes, you can see the little shadow there. It's not the real shadow, of course. Okay, so back on the down again, down a bit more. This wind is really buffeting it. But let's get a nice close look at how that's buffeting. So look, I'm not pressing anything, it's being pushed that way. It's making the correction, it's trying to make it. I'll just make sure this is definitely recording. It is. So you can see that it's having a major problem. Let's take this in a bit further, a little bit more. No, it does not like it, it keeps jumping. So if I rotate that to the left, rotate it to the left, let's see what happens. Let's see if it tilts. Yeah, it's tilting a bit. Now it's complaining, it's saying I have to land. Okay, so I'll let it. I'll use my hand though. So I will do a hand landing. That's all that beep is. It's just a safety measure. There you go. Now because of the weather, I'm not going to stick a new battery in. So we'll pop them there and I will stop that and I will stop that. Right. Done. Right. And I've got to remember they're there so don't back into them and crush them and then you can all laugh on camera. Right. So thanks for joining me. And this was just a very quick one. I could have stuck another battery in and shown you a couple of the sites, or maybe it's gone and seen what on earth that figure of 8 is, but visibility is changing and I think it's probably going to keep changing for the worse. So for safety in mind, I'm going to turn that off. Thanks for joining me. If you like this, let me know. If you hate it, well, try another video. That's all I can say. Right, I'm off, so goodbye.